Is the left trying to take away your kids if you don't make them trans? Let's find out. Lauren Chen, very large YouTuber, not getting as many views as she should for a channel her size. Thank God. She has made a video called "Accept Your Kid is Trans or He'll Be Taken From You." I like how they do the "hill," even though trans men and trans women exist, and you know that she's referring to trans women here probably because, you know, all the right cares about are trans women. And so they're just sort of putting that in there to make sure they don't use they them pronouns because they don't believe they them pronouns exist. I like that. Right at the start, you got to get that in there.
Hey, Lauren here. Let's talk about parental rights. On this show for a while now, we have been warning you that when it comes to this whole trans issue, it simply is not a live and let live scenario. You might be all right with grown adults choosing to identify however they want and do whatever procedures to their own bodies that they may want. But the thing with the LGBT agenda is that it does not stop with
Here, I'm turning
adults.
Up to 1080p.
We've seen these activists more and more trying to push their ideology, their beliefs, and their gender confusion on to children. And unfortunately, in places like
gender confusion, the gender... Are we doing like the globo homo thing right now? Is that what we're getting here? Hold on. Is that unironically what's happening right here? That's what we're getting. Globo homo, noun, can be used as an adjective, a portmanteau of the words global or globalist and homosexual, used to sarcastically denote the predominant philosophy espoused by the Western economic elite, formerly known as neoliberalism. It combines ruthless capitalism by transnational corporations with a facade of socially liberal politics. So it's not even that. It's not even like the like somewhat critical of capitalism globo homo meme. It's literally just there is a worldwide agenda that the gays are trying to push on your kids. Amazing. It was made in 2011. Yeah, maybe it was a joke back then, but the right didn't know it was a joke, so they started taking it seriously.
Like Canada, America, and I believe the UK as well, it is no longer a guarantee that if you are a parent, you are the one who is able to make decisions about your child's medical treatments, especially not when it comes to gender dysphoria. And today...
So, let's talk about this, all right? How do we feel about anti-vaxxers here? How do we feel about those parents that don't let their kids get vaccinated? And the kids don't have any say in it because, you know, the parents are in control of their kids' medical decisions. And so the kids end up getting sick because their parents won't let them get vaccinated from deadly diseases. Obviously, it's abuse. It's child abuse to not let your kid get vaccinated. It's basically the same thing here, right? If your kid is diagnosed with gender dysphoria, and they have it, which, by the way, if you're worried about misdiagnosis, the best way to solve that problem is to make gender clinics more available. I believe there is less gender clinics in America than there are states in the country. So I believe there isn't even one gender clinic per state, and that's even putting aside the fact that gender clinics are pretty spread out, or they're not spread out. They're consolidated to very particular areas that are more accepting of their existence. So you've got a lot of young people who have gender dysphoria or suspect they may have it, but they don't, that end up assuming they do because they don't have access to the proper medical professionals to advise them on further dealing with their, whatever symptoms they may have of whatever they're dealing with. And so you get misdiagnoses or you get underdiagnoses. It happens all the time because the right is preventing the proper medical care and proper medical professionals from being able to assess children that may be suspected to have gender dysphoria. Now, if you find out that your kid has gender dysphoria and they are suffering from severe mental stress and distress from not being able to get the help they need, the treatment they need for their dysphoria, that's going to harm them, potentially physically. It's the same as if you have a kid who's got depression and is suicidally depressed and has attempted suicide, and you refuse to get them on any type of medication or therapy that could help them deal with it. Yeah, if you're putting your kid's health and safety at risk, then you probably shouldn't have your kid because you're abusing them. You're depriving them from what they need to live a happy and healthy life. That is a parent's job, to raise their kid and give them a happy and healthy life. And if they can't do that, then they probably shouldn't have a kid.
Today, I wanted to take some time to go over this article from Abigail Shrier that I just think is very, very important. So if you're
Abigail
not
Shrier
with
is a right-wing TERF, by the way.
She's very well known for talking about rapid onset gender dysphoria, and she is by no means a transphobic or anything like that, but she just...
By no means a transphobic or anything like that. By the way, you guys are aware that rapid onset gender dysphoria has been debunked? Here, rapid onset gender... The term rapid onset gender dysphoria, or ROGD, was coined in 2016 to describe an alleged pandemic of youth coming out as trans out of the blue due to social contagion and mental illness. The term reflects a deliberate attempt to weaponize scientific-sounding language to dismiss mounting empirical evidence of the benefits of transition. This article offers an introduction to the theory of ROGD and its history, presents a detailed critique of the empirical and theoretical claims associated with the theory, and highlights structural concerns with the ROGD discourse. The article argues that claims associated with ROGD, including assertions of declining mental health and degrading familial relationships following coming out, are best explained by the leading ROGD studies recruitment of parents from trans antagonistic websites against a background of growing visibility and social acceptance of trans people. ROGD theory is best understood as an attempt to circumvent existing research demonstrating the importance of gender affirmation relying on scientific-sounding language to achieve respectability. It is no different, to bring it back to the anti-vax stuff, it's no different than the father of the anti-vax movement, I forget what his name is, and his invention of a completely made-up disease that has yet to be proven the existence of, claiming that autism is caused by the bowels. It's the same shit, using scientific-sounding language to make a pseudoscientific claim that something is happening to support a political narrative. It's the same fucking thing. The scientific community has debunked the existence of rapid onset gender dysphoria millions of times. It is not a real thing. The only evidence of its existence has come from actual fucking online surveys done on TERF websites that have fighting trans ideology in their fucking headline, not interviewing the the children, but the parents of these kids who are actively going onto websites that are known to be TERFy websites that some of them are even designated as hate groups. So yeah, ROGD is not real.
Just likes to discuss how it seems like gender dysphoria is almost acting as a social contagion among young teens. Gender dysphoria reportedly happens in friend group clusters, and it's almost similar to anorexia from the 90s or the 2000s. You know, this happens to girls, boys, young teens in general that have a certain...
So we've already... Zan, what's the TERF? Trans exclusionary radical feminists. It's feminists that just hate men so much and they believe that trans women are men, and because they hate men so much they decide to try to extrapolate their man hate towards trans women, and they believe that like trans men are just lost lesbian sisters who went the wrong way or something, or trying to escape from misogyny and they're traitors, whatever. Now I actually want to say this is actually really interesting. Obviously we just went over that that article that talks about all the studies that have debunked and the existence, like just debunked the existence of the completely pseudoscientific rumor, myth, I should say even, of rapid onset gender dysphoria. Why do you think? I'm curious. Let's use our brains here for a moment. There's science to back up the conclusion I'm going to come here to, but you can also figure it out with common sense, but it is backed up with science. Why do you think people who come out as trans tend to hang out in the same social spaces and friend groups? What about the state of trans people in the world right now makes you think, generally speaking, a lot of trans people might inhabit the same social spaces and groups, both pre and post coming out? Do you think maybe there's a pretty logical explanation to that? The explanation is the same reason why there seemed to be a rise in the amount of gay people out in society in the 90s. In the 90s, we saw a massive growth of gay acceptance, especially in the early 2000s. So there were just more out gay people. There's always been the same amount of gay people, but now they're coming out more because it is getting more and more societally acceptable to be gay, to be out and gay. Don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of problems, but generally speaking, you've probably got it better coming out as gay today or 10 years ago than you did 30 years ago. I think that's pretty solid logic. However, that is not the case for trans people. 10 years ago, coming out as trans was like coming out as gay 30 or 40 years ago. Now it's gotten a lot better. We're basically at the 90s level of trans accept. We're like, if you try to line up the timeline of acceptance for gay people and trans people are at now where gay people were in the 90s, basically, when it comes to societal and legal acceptance, right? That means you've got a long way to go for both gay people and trans people. However, as trans people become more and more accepted, more of them are going to be coming out because there's less and less danger of having violence done unto them or their friends abandoning them. Now, don't get me wrong, plenty of trans people, depending on where you are in the world or even in the country, are going to stay in the closet because of their family and whatnot. Then non-binary, right? Yeah, non-binary still got a while to go. Then like binary trans people. That's a whole other thing that we got to sell people on in regards to the validity of and the acceptance of. But it's almost perfectly comparable to the acceptance of gay people. And you know what Lauren Chen is doing here? Basically the trans equivalent of Alex Jones saying there's chemicals in the water turning the friggin' frogs gay. And that's what's happening to people. They're turning gay because the government's putting chemicals in the water.
A social group and that consumes certain types of media online. So in this article, what Abigail Schreier is doing is talking to several different parents who have had issues with the state trying to take their children from them or prevent them from exercising their rights as parents because some doctor or some social worker or someone believed that their child had gender dysphoria and was actually trans. And there's one story in particular, that of a Pakistani immigrant family, that I wanted to go through. Before we get into it though, I do want to say a thank you to today's sponsor, Glow with Lauren. A recent poll.
Oh, gee, wait, Glow. Wait, visit Young with Lauren. Wait, is she sponsored? Is she just, no, wait, she's not sponsored. She's showing her own company. It's blank with Lauren. Is it her own company? I'd be very surprised if she can get sponsors in her videos for anything that's not like far right shit.
Guarantee. Right. So this article is titled "When the State Comes for Your Kids." I can imagine that's every parent's nightmare, and as we will find out, it's becoming an increasingly common possibility. So it starts off by saying Ahmed is a Pakistani immigrant, a faithful Muslim, and until recently, a financial consultant to Seattle's high-tech sector. But when he reached me by phone in October 2020, he was just one more frightened father. Days earlier, he and his wife had checked their 16-year-old son into Seattle Children's Hospital for credible threats of suicide. Now, Ahmed was worried that the white coats who had gently admitted his son to their care would refuse to return him. They sent an email to us, you should take your daughter to the gender clinic, he told me. So essentially what...
The kid is literally suicidal and had to go to the hospital because they were so close. Yeah, white coats. You mean doctors? Dude, this is phenomenal. Having to invent, I guess you could say like a derogatory term for doctors because the right has fallen so far into anti-science and anti-academia. That's fucking phenomenal. Doctors and nurses, the fucking white coats. God, those goddamn white coats. That's phenomenal. You take your kid in to the hospital because there's a high chance of them committing suicide because they're so mentally distressed. And the doctors are like, yeah, you should probably take your kid to a like a gender clinic, like to have this looked at. Like I think they might have gender dysphoria. You should get them looked at by like a professional, like a medical professional in this field. And the parents are like, no, they're gonna take my kids away from me. No, they can't be trans. Like, okay, dude, come on. When the doctors are telling you like, yeah, you should probably do this, and your response is to fucking email a right-wing demagogue to be like, they're gonna take my kids away, then I think it's pretty obvious who's on the wrong side of things here.
What is happening nowadays is that parents are being accused of being abusive or not giving their children the proper medical treatment if they are not on board the whole transgender ideology train. And so what that means is that even if...
So this is why responding to videos like this is so frustrating, because it's so presumptuous, you know? So here, let's see, let's try to like line out the line of logic that we're getting here, right? So first we have to start with the presumption going into it, because you have to understand that people like Lauren Chen aren't making these videos to make an argument. She's not making this video to convince people that she is correct. She's making content that she knows those that already agree with her are going to gobble up like hotcakes. So the idea that there is a trans agenda is just presupposed here. Have you noticed that? How she doesn't say trans acceptance or like anything like that. It's the trans agenda. Because the existence of that is already presupposed. It's not like trans people exist and they're fighting for acceptance. It's a civil rights movement. It's an agenda being pushed into kids, right? And then you move on with the main argument of the video, right? That nobody watching the video doesn't already agree with, right? So you have to start with the trans agenda, this intangible idea that is already being presupposed. Then you get to the main argument. No argumentation about whether or not there is a trans agenda, just the presupposition that there already is. And in case you guys are wondering, there is not.
If your child merely expresses some curiosity about, you know, things that might be stereotypically boys or girls' clothing or activities, there are places where a teacher, a social worker, a healthcare practitioner, whoever, they might actually take it upon themselves to decide that unless you affirm this child's gender identity or whatever it may be, you actually might be unfit to take care of them. The slippery...
So this is completely untrue. If your kid is expressing signs they may have gender dysphoria, then it may be recommended that they, you know, be seen by like a medical professional that's like specializes in that field. And the same way that if your kid is demonstrating depressive or suicidal tendencies, it might be best to take them to a doctor or to some kind of mental health professional that can assess that. And if your kid is suicidal or depressed and you refuse to take them to a doctor, then, I mean, yeah, you might not be fit to parent. Yeah, that's not really good.
Slope is slippery. It's more actually like just a cliff. Someone commented in one of our videos last time, and yeah, this is true. This is happening. This is not hyperbole. We did warn you. So it continues. They were trying to create a customer for their gender clinic, the father said, and they seem to absolutely want to push us in that direction. He said, when I spoke to him again this May, recalling the horror of last October, we had calls with counselors and therapists in the establishment telling us how important it is for him to change his gender, because that's the only way he's going to be better out of this suicidal, depressive state. Okay.
Let's go ahead and read this again, because this is a quote from the parent. They were trying to create a customer for their gender clinic. Yes, they were trying to create a customer for their cancer treatment center. They were trying to create a customer for their mental health facility. And they seem to absolutely want to push us in that direction. Your kid attempted suicide and had to go to the hospital. He said, when I spoke to him again this May, recalling the horror of last October, we had calls with counselors and therapists in the establishment telling us how important it is for her to change her gender, because it's the only way she's going to be better out of this suicidal depressive state. Yeah, that's how doctors work. They refer you to other people that are professionals in the field that they suspect their patient needs to be looked at in. Have you ever gone to a doctor before? Do you know what referrals are? For those of you guys who don't know, use they. Yeah, we'll use they, never mind, because we don't know if they're trans. Like, obviously, it's just doctors suspecting they might be and wanting to refer them over to a professional. If you go to a doctor, and if you go to your, like, general care practitioner, I think is the exact term, right? You go to your doctor, and you're like, I've got a weird mark on my skin. I don't know what it is. It's kind of worrying me. Doctor takes a look at it and is like, not sure exactly what it is, but it doesn't look good. So just to be safe, I'm going to refer you to a dermatologist. Then you go to a dermatologist. That's what's called the referral. A dermatologist is someone who specializes in skin to look over it and see if it might be a melanoma. This is just standard in the medical field.
out of the suicidal depressive state. Okay, the first thing I think is very suspect is how many stories I have heard of therapists and doctors telling parents that, oh yeah, your child is actually trans after only meeting them several times or on a couple of occasions.
So these stories are few and far between. Here, gender clinics in the US. If you want to avoid misdiagnosis, do you think that maybe, just perhaps maybe, it would be good if there were more resources to find gender clinics, to find clinics that specialize in this particular field? Look at this shit. Dude, look at this shit. There's like 4 in California. There might be 5 if there's a third one in that little cluster right there that you can barely see. There's like 2 right next to each other in Oregon, 2 in Washington, 2 in Colorado, 1 in Arizona, 1 in Texas, 1 in Oklahoma, 1 on the edge of Nebraska and Ohio. If you're in Montana, if you're like around here, anywhere in Montana, get fucked. It's a 5-hour drive to the nearest gender clinic. North Dakota, get fucked. 4-hour drive to the nearest, maybe more, to the nearest gender clinic, right? Like, look at this shit. Do you think maybe if you want to limit the amount of misdiagnosis of this, perhaps there should be more access to medical professionals in this field? Look at this. Look at the commute you would have to go on depending on where you live. I see 2 in Canada. I see 1 in Canada. Where's the other one in Canada? Well, to be fair, Canada is basically America, you know? Look at this shit. There's not even 1 per state here. Not even 1 per state. None in Idaho, none in Montana, none in Wyoming, none in Utah, none in Kansas, none in South or North Dakota. What other states don't have any? Georgia doesn't have any. Mississippi and Louisiana definitely don't have any. Like, there's a good amount of states here that just don't have any. There's entire clusters of states here that just don't have any. Nevada, none in Utah or Nevada. And even where they are, it's sparse. There's surprisingly 1 in Alabama, but fuck you if you live down here. It's a long commute. Look at this. If you want to avoid the misdiagnosis of gender dysphoria, make access to medical professionals who specialize in this field more readily available. This also helps reduce the amount of detransitioners because less people are being falsely diagnosed.
I'm not saying that there are feelings and emotions that teens especially might not be willing to share with their parents because they're not comfortable or that's not really the relationship they have or whatever it may be, but be very wary of any stranger who claims to know your child and what's best for them better than you do. And I am by no means a psychologist, a doctor, therapist, whatever it may be, but I also think it's interesting to note how differently the medical community treats feelings of gender dysphoria versus any other type of mental affliction or illness.
I like how every time she says gender dysphoria, notice how she's doing the little hand quotes because she doesn't believe it's real. For those of you guys that aren't aware, gender dysphoria is if you don't believe in gender dysphoria, you are just a anti-science shithead. Okay? Here it is on psychiatry.org. Gender dysphoria, a concept designated in the DSM-5, basically the handbook for all doctors, as a clinically significant distress or impairment related to a strong desire to be of another gender, which may include desire to change primary and or secondary sex characteristics. Not all transgender or gender diverse people experience dysphoria. Whew! Good old anti-science conservatives back at it again.
And I don't say that to be disrespectful, but if you feel like you were born in the wrong body, obviously that is a mental condition. And, you know, again, no disrespect or judgment there. That would be really hard to go through. But people like Ben Shapiro have pointed out, if someone has the impression that they shouldn't actually have their arm or that they are really a dolphin, you don't indulge them. The medical community
Hey guys, don't soy face here or anything, but I got a really funny joke for you. What if I identified as an Apache attack helicopter? Checkmate, libcucks.
He doesn't just give in to those illusions, even though that might be what the patient themselves is feeling. The opposite is true when it comes to gender dysphoria. And I just think that when it comes to treatment of gender dysphoria, there has not been enough research in actually trying to cure gender dysphoria in a way that is not simply transitioning people. And you know what, again, not a doctor. Maybe that is the best way. Maybe it's the best way for some people, but not other people.
Is what she's saying here, does this make any sense to anybody, what she's saying here? Or is this just conservative dribble? Because I'm not picking up any actual arguments or anything of substance here. Is my brain just turned off, or is this legitimately like the level of, hold on, do I need to I need to lower my brain function to be able to consume this content? Okay, hold on. I'm going to put myself in the mind space of a conservative. All right. What's up, guys? I'm conservative Xander Hall, and we're going to watch I have 40 IQ now. We're going to watch this based Lauren Chen video now, because there's no arguments here for lefty Xan, for high IQ Xan to respond to. So we're just going to soy clap with Lauren Chen here now every time she makes a based take. Yeah, that's what we're going to do here.
Become more comfortable, but I just don't think there's been enough research, or I mean, for lack of a better term,
not enough research,
alternatives offered. It's like everyone has accepted, yep, okay, if you say this is what you are, then we...
Yeah, the scientific community are a bunch of fucking science cucks, dude. Fuck those science cucks and all that data and research that's gone into the existence of gender dysphoria and how transitioning helps alleviate it. Yeah, there's just not enough research, dude. Based. Oh. No, but Lauren, you know it's the Jews, right? It's the science Jews pushing the attack helicopter narrative on the West. It's that's what's happening. Yeah.
We have to
Jewish
make it
space
so
lasers, base.
Medical interventions, including drugs and surgery. It's like this is different than we treat any other affliction of the mind. But anyway. We are continuing on. Something that's also relevant about this case is that this child, Syed, he is autistic, and we have heard reports coming out of the UK that the number of children who are trans is disproportionately children who experience things like autism. And it has been posited that perhaps this is the case because they are more easily influenced by professionals like psychiatrists or therapist doctors who...
Yeah, man. Well, to be honest, though, autism's not even real, though, because science cucks invented it. It's actually caused by vaccines, Lauren. So I'm gonna have to dislike the video for that, Lauren, because autism's not real. It's actually it was invented by the vaccine industry to turn us all into sheep. Hold on, I think we gotta leave a comment on this one. Lauren, I'm typing like a conservative too. I'm a conservative, and I usually love your videos, but I cannot support this one in particular. Everyone knows autism was invented by the vaccine industry to turn our kids into mindless soy boys. Listen, I'm typing like a conservative, all right? It works, all right? Lauren, I'm a conservative, and I usually love your videos, but I cannot support this one in particular. Everyone knows autism was invented by the vaccine. Yeah, we're keeping vaccine misspelled, okay? The vaccine industry to turn our kids into mindless soy boys. I can't believe you would cuck yourself to the SJW agenda like this. Listen, believe's a hard word to spell, okay? I turned my IQ down, so I'm mistyping, okay? Wait, is this a common etiquette bit? It kind of is like a common etiquette bit, isn't it? Yeah, we're doing internet common etiquette here, you know? Those science cucks won't turn my kids trans. I'll defend their penises with my guns if I have to. Anyway, nice video and unsubscribed. There we go. Lauren, I'm a conservative, and I usually love your videos, but I cannot support this one in particular. Everyone knows autism was invented by the vaccine industry to turn our kids into mindless soy boys. I can't believe you would cuck yourself into the SJW agenda like this. These science cucks won't turn my kids trans. I'll defend their penises with my guns if I have to. Anyway, nice video, unsubscribed. Gotta take my kids to the genital... Hold on, wait, I got a better one. Gotta take my daughter to the genital inspection station so she can play women's soccer next school year. There we go. Lauren, I'm a conservative, and I usually love your videos, but I cannot support this one in particular. Everyone knows autism was invented by the vaccine industry to turn our kids into mindless soy boys. I can't believe you would cucks, yes. You gotta proofread it. Cuck yourself to the SJW agenda like this. Those science cucks won't turn my kids trans. I'll defend their penises with my guns if I have to. Anyway, nice video and unsubscribed. Gotta take my daughter to the genital inspection station so she can play women's soccer next school year. Hell yeah, brother. Everyone go like this comment. I'm liking my own comment. Everyone go like this comment so it appears at the top of the video and she has a chance to see it, okay? This was the perfect comment, all right? I feel like this right here, the linky. All right, here's the linky. You got to go like my comment, all right? Sort by newest if you have to. I'm pretty sure this is the best, I'm pretty sure this is the best comments I've ever left on anything. Can we update? I think we've seen enough of the video. There's no arguments
Lauren
actually going to be... Lauren, stop! Okay. Chrome! There we go. There we go, 18 likes. Holy shit. It's more than I expected there to be already. Yeah, everyone go like my comment on the video so she has a chance to see it. Here, I want to see it. Can we get to 25? Can we get to 25? I want to see if we can get this comment to 25 likes. Whoa, boy. Sneed, so true. Nice to see another freedom-loving patriot in this comment section. A true patriot, brother. Bay Xanderhall, so true, queen. True! That's what I'm talking about right there. Hell yeah, brother. Hey, if you're a real patriot, you'll come out and you'll like this comment right here, so she has a chance to see it. Goddamn science cooks trying to turn our kids trans. Holy shit. Based. Yeah, you gotta like all the comments below it too, it helps it. God bless. Base brother, they will never touch my children. I'm a patriot. Based king. I think they're putting chemicals in the chemicals, turn the chemicals gay. Based. Finally, a free thinker I can subscribe to. Soccer? Is she gay? True. Absolutely my gun-loving American. Q-worshiping patriot. Gun, ammo, gun, bullet, gun. True. All right, brother. I'd say that right there was the success of a video response if I've ever seen one, even if half of it was just me leaving a shitty comment on a video. Anyway, if you like my video, please leave a like and subscribe. Ring the bell icon so YouTube actually notifies you every time I go live. You can follow me on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram through the links in the description, and join the fan Discord as well. If you want to support me financially, you can either donate or subscribe on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or you can become a channel member by hitting the join button on the YouTube chat, or super chat in itself, or on Twitch. You can sub to me or Prime sub with a free sub each month if you've got Twitch Prime. On top of that, as I adjust my massive gamer balls right now so they aren't sticking to my thighs, you can also go down to the description and buy some Xander Hall merch. I promise it'll help you keep the gay frogs away. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one. Fuck them science cucks trying to turn my kids trans.